Hello, hello there, people of the internets. It's your boy Skinny Penis, and today we're bringing another video from a Super BB at the replay, and then the next one will be Uchakov, and we can talk a bit more about the insanity of these boats and also the inability of Battleship players to accept tanking as a form of game impact. That one will be the Ucha, because I had a 0 damage game that we just basically won because I took shit for 5, 6, 7 minutes on cooldown. But yeah, this one is Patrie. I'm playing in a division here actually. That's why I also took both games, or will take both games, because it's division play. Basically, since playing for random mates is sometimes a bit questionable, and you have to wait for pretty long to actually see a direct impact. And it would be a hard argument to make, because random mates are random, let's say, and demented, so trying to argue that they did certain things just because you played the way you did is a bit weird. But here I know how Ivan in the Des Moines played because of me, basically. Yeah, so we get Patrie. We get super heavy matchmaking, which is, by the way, an extreme issue for Des Moines. Ivan has a pretty hard time getting any use out of his boat here. And, well, yeah, Patrie being a 3-gun repop essentially with tons of armor. The HP pool is insanely high too, though Patrie definitely offers the least amount of armor. So what most people do, and is also not really a downside on it, is playing it super far away and sling AP at overmatch targets like cruisers, or HE on battleships. That's something that a lot of people figured out real quick on this car. It has basically the same ability as Conqueror to sling HE. Your shells are super easy to hit, great arcs, super fast, and then it gets high alpha, high fire chance. So spamming HE is a good way for kite monkeys to get their average on this car. Also, if you play it with Aubonnieu and shit, you get more speed. If you get potential, you get 5% reload of from every death strike. So that one scales super well with Patrie. I don't play Aubonnieu here because it's NA account, but generally people tend to do that. So what I always find fascinating about super BBs, or generally BB players, is they play, like, lots of people love to play them in a division. Same for me, honestly. Like, having a DD in your div that does something smart, or a carrier, obviously enables you as a BB. You go from you're a bit fucked if your team is demented to you're not fucked, you're suddenly a nuclear death machine, because you can have someone either zoning DDs for you, you can have a carrier spot for you. That's the reason why C-server players do it, I always say it. And the interesting part is, though, that Battleship players, even in divisions, always abuse the fact they have competent teammates around them to then proceed to AFK kite or sit in base for damage. While what I like to do most of the times, if I have something like a Des Moines here in my div, I like to play close with him. There's no real reason, like, playing close is a problem, I assume, for some people, because they don't know where to position. So, for example, why do I go here? By the way, here, no one-shot on the Moskva, insta-leave game, please. No, like, why am I close? Because this fat island in front of me can always cover me against most damage sources. It could actually cover me against every damage source in this game, apart from the carrier, who has a hard time actually dropping me behind that island too, because he only has one angle of approach, which is he has to pass behind me and then attack me. So you can assume that if you sit here, the carrier has to come in behind from either side and then drop me. Unless it's like a midway or something, those are obviously a problem. Depends on the carrier you get. Something like a midway is obviously problematic if you sit on an island. Something like an Immelmann or a Nakimov would be really good if you sit on an island, kind of, unless he uses Torps in a Nak, for example. I mean, most carriers have means of still dealing damage to you, but some carriers are really good if you're on an island, so you gotta always respect that. And here, actually in this game, there's a little bit of an issue. The Guden Lu actually comes here, so this is the second thing that can actually deal a lot of damage. By the way, this position here also doesn't offer most torpedo boats to get angles. There's like one angle you have to always care about, and that's this one here from D that can torp into the island area. But since there is no torpedo boat, I mean, there is a torpedo boat in the game, the Shema, but since the Marcus is spotted on D, you know the Shema won't be here. So you can actually sit here, and as you can see, I have a circle of 11 km, and of 9.2. And you can orientate yourself between, like, I mean, if the Marceau is between those two circles, it's more than 9 km. So he has no torpedo range on me here, so I'm fully fine with what I'm doing. And yeah, the Guden is obviously a problem. Devastation and Patrie are probably the worst ships to play into a Guden. Uchakov suffers over time, Hanover suffers over time, but if you spec them correct, you're not gonna be, and Satsuma as well, but if you spec them correct, you're not gonna randomly blow up. Patrie and Devastation have the issue that the bombs actually pen you. Theoretically, if he hits a really good drop, since I was stationary nose in there, perfectly nose in towards him, which means I'm perfectly parallel aligned with the drop. So that's also why I turn out here. I don't select the Guden, focus the Des Moines first. Which is, the idea is smart because he's the raider hydrocruiser that can fuck with people over islands. But to be honest, he should have instantaneously dropped me. Only upside of this is if he does like only 4k like he did now, the what's it called? The potential damage you get from the drops is insane. So yeah, well, I guess my improved repair party readiness gets a bunch of cooldown. Because it's obviously tank spec, full tank spec Patrie. I would also, like on Patrie, I would definitely advise to go full tank. It's one of those ships like Rhode Island where you want to make up as much as you can for the loss of armor or tankiness. So you can stay alive more often because the guns and the DPM is already insane. Also, if you play it with some dumb, furious, heavy AP bullshit specs and stuff, or even if you drop fire prevention, you're basically forced to play and spawn the entire time, which is pointless. What do we do here is now, I was close to them. I haven't tried to get into a position, but as you can see, there is a Satsuma in base coming over. There's a Vermont, San Martin, Guden. There's literally, and a Monty. There's literally 50 trillion ships that could fuck on him. So what he's trying is get out of that position as fast as possible. And I'm deciding, instead of kiting away, because these people also dove island, I'm just gonna go in. Like, if I go forward with my HP pool and the Des Moines can free farm behind me and I can zone for him, we're kind of looking at a winnable scenario. Because, I mean, as you look at the minimap and we're down 2 ships, this game is not going to be a win if I sit in base and wait for spam. Like, basically, if I go out and away now, I have to hope that these people push into me and I can AG spam them. But I would leave my Des Moines out. So what most people in battleships do, even in division, like literally even with people they know, is abuse them, like literally bait them. I see that too often in the past year or two. Like, I play my Des Moines, I play my Moskva, Petro, whatever I play, or any DD. Battleships, the moment you play for them, abuse the fact you play for them, and instead of playing with you and together with you, they fuck off and ignore you. The way here you can also see battleship coping about not deleting cruisers flat. I mean, should I go into the cringeness of a Vermont coming around flat broadside on the corner? The first salvo is no citadels and the second salvo is only 1, so he's still alive. Should we talk about that? Like, before battleship monkeys complain about the fact that you can't one-shot certain cruisers immediately and instantly off the screen, can we please talk about the fact that most battleships virtually either don't have a citadel or it's nearly inaccessible? So, like, I basically have some of the most potent guns in the game. Like, penetration and arc-wise, it's insane what I have here on Patrie, and I'm super close, which means my dispersion isn't much of a downside. And still, I can't one-shot these fuckers, because, well, guess what? They either moved the citadel behind 50 trillion layers of irony armor, or they moved them into the fucking, I don't know, dungeons of hell below waterline. It's like, before you start coping about cruisers that never kill you in a 1v1 back, that you don't delete them, like a Napoli will not kill a Vermont. And a Vermont may not one-shot it. Actually, Vermont is one of the most consistent ships at one-shotting Napoli, but whatever. But like, when we talk about the fact that Vermont has like an insanely trolly sit, there's some BBs which you have where you really suffer getting sits on Vermont. It's insane. Like smaller caliber BBs, like something like a Borg or a Monty, or also fast fuse BBs like Gloria or Vincent. It's just a weird engagement versus Vermont. Anyways, I'm like now here. As you can see, I'm parking the corner. I'm blocking these people from really coming around, and Ivan is just basically sitting behind me and shelling shells into these ships, and we're trying to force a damage race. This is a damage race. This is what happens even in like high level comp. It's mostly like if BBs engage like this, or if I park a Petro a Napoli in my BB, then I have to ensure that I have more damage behind me than they do. So the BB is still a frontline in this boat. Even a Patrie can do it. Obviously, I'm doing a little back and forward dodging, trying to get somewhat out of the drops of the Guden, because the Guden is still alive and spamming me here. And to be fair, if he would be better at aiming the drops, which most Gudens aren't capable of doing, I would already be suffering and dying. Guden Lu against something like a Patrie is just a nightmare. Guden Lu in general was super strong before. The ability to deal damage from behind an island without ever exposing yourself is insane. And now with the Ledge mod, it reached absolute and utter insanity. Then again, yeah, the biggest target of Gudens are battleships. It's the easiest to hit. The thing is, battleship monkeys better not complain about that, because the fact that Guden Lu only penetrates 37 means that most battleships don't even get penned. It's just a certain set of BBs that want to play at range anyways that get penned by that crap. And the disgusting part about all of this is that the cruisers all have 30 millimeters, the ones that want to, for example, play islands, like a Worcester, Des Moines, Salem, shit like that. And if a Guden hits you with 2 drops properly, you may already be gone. Like a Guden, a Ledge Guden with 3 drops can definitely one-shot Des Moines and Salems on rocks. You will not get one-shot in a battleship. So you better not complain about the fact that Guden can fuck you, because basically, I mean, this guy, for some reason, now deciding to go out, no one knows. Guess he had a death wish, wanted to die. And as you can see, we killed everything. I survived through all of it. 33k HP. And my Des Moines is still alive, has a lot of HP. Or like, not a lot, but he's still decently healthy. And we can now move on. And all of this is only possible because I go in a battleship and I just accept that, okay, sure, maybe I don't get the mad amount of damage here because I won't have a good angle. But I force the enemy team to respect me. The Vermont had to respect me, or like he also tried to shoot me, the Monty the same. And my Des Moines gets perma-spotting and gets to use his DPM to out-damage. This is what most battleship gameplay should come to. Sure, there's some BB creations, abominations, let's say, that are basically better played in base, spamming HE. Like Conquerors of this world, Thunderers of this world, and Rhode Islands. But most of the other BBs are just straight up better played with a teammate close. I know it's hard to do it in randoms with monkeys. Lately it's also super sad with the average destroyer gameplay or cruiser gameplay that's next to you, so battleships are pain and suffering. But yeah, then I personally think it's tolerable for like 2-3 turbo shit games, and then I switch. Here you can, by the way, see the brain damaged ability of Patri to just sling more than 10k alpha HE volleys into the Satsuma. Sadly, I don't get good fire RNG here. I think I gotta fire this volley, but I mean the alpha strike alone. Like, why do these battleships get? Like, what is this? This is like 3 10k and above HE alpha volleys in a row. And only because I have shit RNG, I don't get the insta-perma that ticks for another 20k. So like, I mean, this guy's also shooting HE for some reason. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with him. And yeah, also you can see here the heals come off cooldown super fast now with 4 million pots. Sure, your base HP pool is high, but any cooldown on a heal is great for you. So the Guden drops definitely also enhanced my ability to heal. In this game, you could have also thought about, like, if you had AA skill here, the Guden drops would have activated my DCP and heals even faster. Guden drops also AA, same as ASW planes. So AA skill, definitely a sleeper. Lots of BBs can and should maybe even slot it, because you're basically so invulnerable to most other shit that if there is a CV in the game, either it's a shit CV, you can abuse the AA skill buff, because you won't, the CV will never deal enough damage to out-damage your cooldown. You reduce cooldown on DCP and heal, or it's a good CV and you just make yourself survive longer. Here the Yamato's obviously shitting AP into me, that overmatches, so I'm generally, let's say, forced to really mind my HP pool now, because I do not have a lot anymore and I only have 1 more heal. That's, by the way, my 6th heal. We're already through on 5 heals. Now comes the 6th, and now my Des Moines kind of takes over a bit. He can push up. He can zone either the DD in case he wanted to come close to C, but you will see the DD is chasing the Essex. If the DD would have been in C, the Des Moines could zone. Also, like, I'm still waiting here, taking over the Yamato spotting and the Yamato tanking. And my Ohio and Des Moines have information and can shoot it. But obviously you will see that I will suffer greatly from his overmatch now too, so I am forced to go fully nose in and try to mitigate the damage as much as possible. 6 field is out. The healing potential is still insanely great because most of it was HE fire from earlier as well. And yeah, I mean, what can you say? Patrie maybe not the best boat to play super close, but even then you can see you still survive through a lot of bullshit. We had Gudens, battleships, carriers, we had lots of crap trying to hump us, and we still somehow are afloat and running around. So yeah, once again, please don't spec these boats for secondaries or damage output. Specifically 32mm Patrie is best played with tank spec, so you have the survivability. And well, yeah, switch to HE, because basically battleships are better HE spammers than cruisers in most scenarios. You could see here the Yamato and the Satsuma took a lot of HE damage quick fast and suffered. So yeah, I'm going full turn flat, so my back turret kills him quicker before he gets the salvo out. And now the game is over. We will get into the B cap. The Shema decided to fuck off, not kill me, not get C. So we just get a free win here. That was basically the only thing that could maybe make us lose if the Shema actually plays C, and we have to probably accept that I die at some point to the Torps, and the Des Moines has to stick with C. He can't go to B. Now in this scenario, it's a win. We have 4.3 million pot. That is obviously inflated because the Guden drops give you like 600 or more thousand potential damage per drop if it's close to you. So it's not as high as it may look. The Guden drops, yeah, they virtually inflate the potential damage. So rubbing yourself 1 to potential damage if a Guden perma drops you in a battleship isn't really like that smart. Because I think I've had games with 6-7 million pot. In like Kremls where Gudens perma drop you, because Kreml doesn't really eat a lot of alpha strikes, so the Guden drops, and if the Guden also misses half its drops, then you can get like insane alpha potential damage. And yeah, I'm just wondering how people are complaining about these boats, honestly. Like, there's been complaints about Patrie dispersion being too inaccurate. I mean, I don't know what the fuck you want. Those guns are disgusting nuclear bombs, and if they would be slightly more accurate, the ship would be a disaster. Then people complain about the fact that it has like insane easy to hit superstructure and 32 armor, and it's like, yeah, and if it would be slightly more tanky and gets armor platings like Main or something like an Hanover, well, it would also be like an absolutely nuclear death machine. Actually getting sits on a SX here, by the way. Super interesting. And, well, yeah. I don't really get the complaints. I mean, I know that most people play Patrie and Kite in base. It is advisable to do it specifically if you're solo or from time to time, weak flanks. But as you could also see here in this game, you can play close. You can push it out. I mean, sure, the argument is a bit awkward because I had like one of the best M1 players probably that ever existed in my team. I mean, Ivan has like a probably fucking 2,000 Des Moines games or some shit as well. He's one of those cruiser types that spam Des Moines like me, so he knows what he's doing. And it's funny because the moment you enable him to not have to eat shit from 50 trillion battleships and specifically overmatch BBs that he doesn't pen with HE, like a Vermont, and you just go in yourself, park the Vermont's mouth and also blow him up. Supposedly blow him up because I needed 3 volleys against the Vermont. The 2 first volleys that were flat didn't deal damage, so insert average BB cope that cruisers don't always blow up instant. Which, by the way, if you go down the list of newly released battleships, Wisconsin has an underwater sit. Patrie will never get sit. Uchakov will never get sit. Hanover will never get sit. Satsuma has such a thick belt it barely gets sit unless it's close range, but Satsuma is definitely something that wants to snipe. Devastation has a lowered sit compared to Kong. Rhode Island, I guess, has Georgia sit, that thing, but that thing also never needs to be close. What else do we have? from new battleship. Vincent never gets it, or like never is a stretch. Vincent is a super hard and hard to hit sit, super trolly as well. So the only battleship that really pops when flat lately is Loria. Loria did get the downside of having an insanely large and above the waterline citadel. So you can assume, or you can say that like Loria in that regard is a bit more balanced. Then again, it's not really a downside because it's these ships are still range focused, like Rhode Island and Loria with Sid, but they get 12.3 conceal, and I don't what's Loria 12.6, something like that. So they get insane concealment and speed to make up for it, so you don't really have to turn flat broadside to people. I don't know, man. Like, what you can also like say about super ships is like as I said in the main video, like Patrie is an absolute point and click monster. Like I didn't really have 30 mil cruisers here that were angling to me, but God forbid I had one, like a Des Moines or a Salem trying to bow fight me from, I don't know, 9-10 line area on a rock or something. Like this is virtually like click him 2 or 3 times and he either is dead or he has so little HP he can't keep peeking because the next volley would finish him. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know about those boats. So what do we end up here is obviously a really nice game. For a super ship, it's not like the best. That's actually saying something because super BBs definitely have higher damage output, as you saw, main 450. Patri and Patri Devastation, Satsuma, they also have like 400k plus potential for sure. They actually, if you spam them for like 100 games and you're really good at the game, you will get like 400k games. At one point, you will probably also get an arms race game. These boats are not designed to be arms race buffed. Neither are any other super ships apart from the maybe some DDs. Like the super cruisers are also in no way designed to receive arms race buffs because they're all percentage based buffs. So something like an Annapolis, but also like a Satsuma, are not supposed to have randomly minus 30% reload or plus 30% alpha strike. It's bullshit. So yeah. We end up with a lot of base XP, the Des Moines as well. I mean, if you look at the matchmaking, it's kind of like if he has only random mates, he may not be able to play it because there's a random Patri tanking for him. He actually gets to play. Sure, he didn't end up with the best amount of damage because I also took a lot of that damage because people turn flat. I mean, I'm always dealing damage myself. And as you could see, the closer you are, the faster you deal damage. Also, something that I would like to mention here with battleships in general is people turning flat to you, and then people are watching me or other streamers and they're saying like, yeah, those people are paid actors and that never happens to me. I can tell you exactly why it never happens to you. Because first of all, you don't position the same way or as properly. Second of all, if you never play that close, you never pressure the enemy into either coming up with weird ideas, losing their mind, or completely panicking. It's basically like this. If I play my BB in the bag, it happens very rarely that cruisers make mad mistakes or battleships. But if you go super close and you know what you're doing, these people are really weirded out by other battleships being suddenly super close with lots of HP. They know these things have insane gunpowder. So then what happens in randoms, because these people are mostly inexperienced or pretty fucking shit, they panic. And lots of these people panic a lot because what a World of Warships player or most World of Warships players don't get, even in higher level competitive, is you may be thrown into situations where you know you die, and you may also fuck up and go to a wrong rock, and then you know you're dying because someone can theoretically shove or 1-for-1 you. The best case scenario, or like the best thing you can do then, is actually make it as hard as possible for the enemy to get your kill. But what lots of people do is they panic. They try to somehow make up for it, or they try to somehow change the situation. And by doing this, they kill themselves faster. It actually happens in comp too. Like you catch someone, he knows he's dead. Some of the people react in totally inappropriate ways and fucking run it even deeper, give angle faster, shit like that. And this is exactly what happens in randoms if you shove fat fucking full HP BBs with insane nuclear guns into the enemy's mouth in a controlled way where you know you're basically just sitting here. You have the patience, like I'm just sitting here and I watch you do whatever you want to do now. And suddenly they lose their minds and go out flat. Because that Gunlu was camping the rock the entire time. Like he was basically dodging me the entire game. As you could see, behind the rocks, I couldn't lob him. He was diving rock, going out of rock, diving rock again. And then randomly he decides to, because his battleships also died and I'm still sitting there, to go flat out in front of me. I mean, maybe the Guden also wanted to go next. We never know. But like, it's weird. It's really weird how people react when you're close to them in battleships. Anyways, we go through the detailed report and then we end the video. We have a bunch of AA damage. We have AP focused, but as you could see, I shot HE at the end at Satsuma and Yamato, and I got 60k alpha out of that. And as I said, my RNG was pretty shit. I only got 1 perma on the Satsuma. Otherwise, yeah, but that short period of time spamming HE already netted me 72k damage. And yeah, that's what people are mostly looking for on those BBs. You can theoretically just sit at medium to long distance and base kite it, so you're never forced or never at risk of dying because you can just run away. And then they just start spamming HE and they get big damage number and they're happy. Super weird, honestly. We're actually making profit because it's blue boosters. So yeah, damage taken in this car, in this game, because of tank spec 6 heals as well, 223k. Oh, either I made someone's day. I mean, I know that multiple people shot me, but theoretically someone could have gotten 223k and make mad damage on me. But hey, I was still afloat at the end, barely, and it kind of paid off. And if it turns out that we still win the game, but I get like 150k less damage, well, then so be it. I will go over it in the next video with Uchakov as well. Average damage is average. It's in the name. It's a statistical word for a mean. The mean of an entire group of results. It's an average. What Battleship players don't get, and also some people's never get, is an average damage means you have games above that average damage and you will have games below that average damage. And Battleship players won't accept games where they don't get a lot of damage. A Battleship player has the biggest problem mentally for a Battleship player is having a game with like 50, 60, 70 or like below 100k damage. It's the worst thing to happen for them. They go into mental breakdown phase and they can't fucking take it. Then I'm just asking the questions, what are torpedo DDs or cruisers doing? Like, I blew up in cruisers with 0 damage multiple times. I eat the torps from DDs. I play torpedo DDs and can't torp anything because the flank is insta-wiped or they all kite away. Like, on all those classes, you will have multiple games per day where you get barely any damage. And still, your average damage then gets compensated by these games with 315k. So if I have 100k the next game, my average is still 200. Wow, this is how average works. Guys, we have made a statistical, scientific breakthrough. Average is the mean of multiple results. So having less damage in some games is actually not that big of a problem because you will have great games the next one. Wow. Average, how it works. Maybe I should make a fucking thesis about it. Crazy. But yeah, Battleship monkeys have a big problem with that. Anyways, this is it for the video and see you in the next one.